Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me. I am Diovana. I'm here with my colleague Ludo. Question, if some of you can pop up in the chat, or maybe you, Ludo, now I can see you. Good evening. Can you hear? Oh, so I guess you can hear me and see me, right?
I can indeed. I can hear and see you fantastically. Yeah.
Perfect. That would be my question for the chat, but now that's fine. Now I know. So just all of you know, today's section will be recorded and shared with you within, I believe, even tomorrow already. So you're going to get this presentation and you're going to get also the recording. So if you feel that you forgot something, you can go back and take a look. And also at the end of the presentation, you can have you can see my email address, the email of the company as well. You can see our contacts. So if you have any questions, please feel free to mail us. And also to let you know, after the presentation, you can see a Q&A session in the presentation. We also have the chat. Please pop out all your questions in the chat or in the Q&A. And during the presentation, my colleague Ludo will be answering them. And if there is something left for the end, then we're going to answer together. You can ask all your questions. We will do our best to answer all of them today. And as I said before, if you forgot about something, just drop us an email and we will make sure that we come back to you. Let's begin. Second, there you go. So as I said before, I'm Diovana. Thank you very much for being here in this very cold night. I hope you're all warm enough. I'm not. I wish I was. I'm an expat buying manager at the Expat Housing Network. I am from Brazil. I've been in the Netherlands for about, it's going to be 14 years in January, I believe. I have a son and a daughter. I call them my little devils. I have rented, it says here a place. I have to change that because I believe I rented more than 12 places before I bought my house. In the Netherlands, I moved to different cities as well, to 3 different cities in the country. So that's why I rented a lot and changed places. And then I bought my home. I renovated completely. I sold, I bought another one. I renovated again. And here I am, maybe selling again and buying something else. Let's see what the future holds. Let's get to know you a little bit. We have a poll, so then we get to know you. How did you get to know us, and what made you decide to buy? I will give you a few minutes to fill this in. Ludo, would you like to introduce yourself in those few minutes?
Yeah, maybe that might work indeed. So my name is Ludo. I am also an expat buying manager, but responsible for the Amsterdam area, so a little bit more up north. Yeah, Amsterdam, but also places like Zaandam, Almere, Amstelveen, and Haarlem. Been with the company for a couple of years now. And well, my role today is to assist Diovana in answering any questions that you guys might have. So like she mentioned, there's a Q&A on the right, on the bottom. If you have anything that pops up, feel free to just pop in the Q&A and then I can answer it live actually. So it's quite nice.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's end the poll. I believe all of you already have answered. Someone raised a hand, but we can't hear you or see you in this presentation. So please pop up your questions in the chat, and my colleague Ludo will make sure he answers. Thank you. Let me close this one. Let's continue. So a little bit of the content, what we're going to do today, introduction about our presentation, the market info, market drivers, savings that you need to have, 3 tips to win in the market, and the whole buying timeline. We do believe in our company that greatness is achieved in the agents of others. And this is a little, this is for you guys to know the buying team at H&N. We also work with rental to help people rent a home. And in the future, we'll be launching our company that actually have houses or properties to rent. But this is the buying team that is that works in our company. We have people from all over, and also people that live abroad. All of us have lived abroad in sometime in their life. So then we can, I find that very interesting that we can actually understand the situation that you guys are now moving to a new country or that's been here for a long time and looking for a place to settle. So I find that very, very valuable in our company. A brief introduction, I already started a little bit, but let's continue. We are no traditional real estate agents, which means that we don't have houses for sale or for rent at the moment. We help with the buying and renting. We do charge a fixed fee. We have no commission, so it doesn't matter your budget. The amount you pay for us is the same. Which I believe it makes a great difference when you have to save money to be able to buy. And of course, we know what it likes to settle in a new country, because we all have been in the same situation before. What is our add value? Selling agents take offers from agent and more seriously. Yes, they do. What the sellers want to have is security, and we make sure that our clients have everything that is necessary to give the security to the sellers. We can do sometimes book viewings when it's no longer possible. That's also true. A lot of these, they do leave free spots for agents. So we are able to, a lot of times we're able to book viewings when there are no spots available for a person who is not a company. We support by review Dutch legal and property documents. All of us, we do speak Dutch. So we are able to review all the documents when necessary. We will help to find market value through the market data. I will talk about this further in the presentation. It's one of the most important points in this presentation, actually. And we'll inform you about rules and regulations. And I'm also going to talk about this one. That's very important, especially when you are an expat and maybe in a few years will be coming back to your country or going to another country. That's very important for you to know what can happen with your property. And we make sure you don't make the same mistakes we have made when we bought our places. One thing I also want to add this here, I think that one of the most edible things that we can bring it to the table is the fact that we do understand what is the whole process in settle in a new country. And I think that makes a huge difference regarding the whole process, to be able to understand everything and how things work. It makes a huge impact in the whole process. Let's go further. Where are you in the process? If you are kind enough to also answer that for me, that would be great. Then we know where you guys are. Maybe you already did something, you were doing research, or you already talked to the mortgage advisor. A few people, I know a lot of people that haven't talked to a mortgage advisor already yet, but they want to buy a house. So it'll be nice to know where are you guys in the process. Researching viewings, I see a lot of people did not talk to the mortgage advisors. I see that. So that's very, very important. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in the chat and the whole presentation. Good. I think we could go. Yes, yes. Let's see. Let's continue the presentation. Some market info, so you can understand the whole market here in the Eindhoven area. Oh, by the way, I do live in Eindhoven. Did I say that? I don't think I said that. I do live in Eindhoven, the central area of Eindhoven for a long time. Here are some numbers of the whole, how is the prices are in the Netherlands. So as you can see here, the average price in the Q3 was 425,000, which is quite high actually, especially if you're buying your first home. It makes a huge impact on your mortgage, on your savings that you need to have and everything, and it's quite high comparing to other properties. A new build is even higher for 96, and that is of course a new house is completely insulated, energy label A 100% of the time. So that makes today, because of the interest rates, that makes a huge difference in the mortgage as well. Go further, and here are the figures for Eindhoven. Average purchase price compared to, you can see the comparison from last year and from this year. Average purchase price is 457,000 euros. It's very, very high for our city, for our region. I remember when I bought my first house, this number was around 313, something like that. So this is a huge, huge, huge amount. and not fair, I believe. It's quite expensive, but then you can understand and you can see the comparisons regarding last year and this year's what are the big difference. Let's move a little bit further. Some market drivers, what makes the price increase, what some fiscal benefits, some the regulations of buying a house. Second, you go tax exemption. So, which means that if you are younger than 35 years old, you never bought a house in the Netherlands before, the value of the house is up to 400 until the 31st of December. It means that you don't have to pay 2% transfer taxes. Normally, when you buy a house in the Netherlands, you need to have around 3 to 5% in cash from the purchase price. So, if you don't have to pay the transfer tax, that's about 2%. You need around 3% of the purchase price to be able to pay the cost of buying a house in the Netherlands, because the bank only finances the price of the house, the market value of the house. Interest rebate, you can always have interest rebates when you buy a property. No capital gains, tax-free parent donation. That's something that will end now this year. If I'm not mistaken, you can have up to 100,000 euros in parent donation without paying any taxes. But from the 1st of January, that will be end, and I think the maximum will be 30,000, if I'm not mistaken. So that will be ending now. Low interest rates, although we see that the interest rates went up comparing to other European countries, we are still one of the most. We are the ones that have one of the lowest interest rates in Europe, and many of countries around us. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Although it's around 3.5–4%, it's still a very low interest rate when you think about buying a property. High rents. This is something that most of us know, and if you are here, most likely you are renting a property. The rent in this country is incredibly high, and in Eindhoven, it's one of the highest in the Netherlands. It's comparable to Amsterdam prices, so which makes for me even worse, because we don't have place enough for everyone. So the rent keeps going up and up, and in my opinion, we'll be getting even worse next year. So that also makes the house market goes up as well, because there are not enough houses for everyone. And lack of supply, like that's what I just said. There are not enough houses for everyone. So it makes the prices go up, the rent goes up, and everything. That's what it causes the things to increase. Let's go further with some news. Those are the regulations that I want to talk to you about it. Self-occupancy obligation, which means that if you buy a house since the 1st of April this year, if you buy a house which the WOZ value is less than 350, you need to have a permission to be able to rent a house, a permission from the city hall. The WOZ value is the value given by the city hall to your house for you to pay taxes. It's not the market value. So this is not the value that will be on fundo. This is something different. The WOZ is literally for you to pay the taxes of the house, the yearly taxes that you have to pay to the government. And if you buy something that is up to 350, you do need a permission to be able to rent out your house. This is since the 1st of April this year. If you buy something that is above that, then you do not need a permission. So that's good to keep in mind, because if you're planning to buy something and then I don't know, 3 or 4 years, you are planning to move abroad and then rent the house, you will need a permission. You will have to live in the house in the Eindhoven area. Eindhoven, you can count on Veldhoven, Geldrop, Nuenen, Best, not Helmond. Yeah, those municipalities around. It means that you need the permission to be able to rent a house if you not live there for at least 5 years. After that, you don't need the permission anymore. Or you have to buy a house where the WOZ value is higher than 350. Let's see about the NHG. That's some good news. The NHG will increase the value. NHG is a special mortgage. It's called National Mortgage Guarantee. It's a special mortgage that gives a little bit more, I would say, a breathing space. If something happens, then you're no longer able to pay your mortgage. If you have an accident, or they will be more flexible regarding that. You're not going to lose your house, for example. So they have also a bit of a lower interest rate. So the price into this year, if you buy a house and you have the transfer date this year into the 31st of December, is 355,000. That has to be the purchase price maximum. And from the 1st of January, the price will gonna go up to 405,000 maximum. So then you can apply for this special mortgage called NHG. That's something very interesting to discuss with your mortgage advisor. Also about the transfer taxes, the 2% that I said it to you before. Into the 31st of December this year, you have to be able to use that exemption. You need to buy a house up to 400. Again, younger than 35, up to 35 years old, first house in the Netherlands, and the purchase price has to be up to 400,000. But from the 1st of January next year, and you can buy a house up to 440. And then, of course, the other exemptions, such as up to 35 and first time buying, that will stay the same. It's the value that's going to go up to 440, which is a big deal in your savings if you don't have to pay those 2% transfer taxes. It means that you only need around 3% of the purchase price to be able to buy a house in the Netherlands. And of course, have the budget, right, to be able to have the mortgage. What you need in savings before you start it. So we have put it something, remember those 3 to 5% I said it before? So this is basically it. This is more or less for you to have a calculation. And as I said before, you're going to receive this presentation, so you can always have an idea in the future if you need. So the transfer tax, the 2%, you need pay transfer tax for the municipality. So, but again, if you buy a house up to 400 into the 31st of December and younger than 35 and those kind of things, then you don't have to pay the 2%. From January on, it's up to 440. You do need to pay the notary. The notary will make the mortgage deed and the transfer deed for you. The costs are, you can see a difference in price for mortgage deeds and transfer deed. But in Eindhoven, I would say those costs you can count around 1,500 for everything regarding the notary. Not the translator though, that comes above that price, but you can count around 1,500. The notary, all the parts that are relating to mortgage, they are transfer tax deductible, so you do get a part of the notary back as in your next taxes that you have to do. You do need to have a mortgage advisor or the bank help you out. The bank also in the Netherlands charge to make your mortgage, which means that if you have a bank account, let's say the ABN or any Rabobank for that matter, it doesn't matter if you have a bank account there or not, you will have to pay them to make your mortgage anyway. So they are a kind of mortgage advisors as well. The difference is that they will look at their own interest rates only, and a mortgage broker will give you about, I believe they have about 36 to 41 more or less institutions that they can check different interest rates and mortgage and everything for you. But you're going to have to pay one or another. They are also tax deductible, which is a good thing. A typical real estate agent will charge you always a percentage. We talked about that before, and that costs about 1 to 2% of your purchase price. We do, however, charge a fixed fee. It doesn't matter how much the budget is. It's 1 million or 100,000. The price is the same for everyone. And that we are not tax deductible. A real estate agent is not tax deductible. An appraiser, that's mandatory for you to have a mortgage. The appraiser is the one that's going to make a report called valuation report. And that report, he's going to show the bank what is the market value of the property. We're going to talk about this a little bit further, but it's mandatory for you if you need a mortgage. If you pay in cash, it's no needed. But if you need a mortgage of any amount, it is mandatory to have an appraiser, and that costs around 650 and 800, and they are also tax deductible because it's a part of the mortgage process. Technical inspector, that's something that you have to decide for yourself or with your agent if the house needs an inspection or not. I'm going to talk a little bit further. I will explain to you a bit of that. A translator interpreter is mandatory if you don't speak fluently Dutch. It cannot be only understand a little bit. It has to be completely fluent. So that's going to come on the price of a notary as well. Bank guarantee, that's a deposit that you have to transfer to the notary, 10% of the purchase price that you have to transfer to the notary, and it will be in the notary until the day of the transfer. It's the amount that is secure the whole process for the seller. After the transfer is done, the money will go back where it came from. So you can have that from the bank, you can pay on your own money. It's up to you. So if you use the bank, most of the banks that you charge around 250 to have that for you. It's a kind of a temporary loan. And that's mandatory. NHG is that mortgage I told you. If you need to use that special mortgage, you do have to pay a percentage of 0.6% of the mortgage process, mortgage amounts that you're going to have from the bank to be able to. It's only, you have to pay only once, only when you do them, only when you do the process, and then you have access to that special mortgage. But that's something you have to discuss with your mortgage advisor. Let's go further. 3 tips to win the current. One more thing I want to talk about this. So this is for you to keep in mind, those 3 to 5%. Why the 3 to 5? Because if you don't pay the 2% from the transfer taxes, then it's 3%. So just for you to have an idea how much you need in cash. This is what you need to have in cash in savings to be able to buy a house in the Netherlands, to be able to do your mortgage, because again, the bank will only finance the house itself, the purchase price, not the cost of buying a house in the Netherlands. 3 tips to win in the current market. Value. We like to talk a lot about value because it makes a huge difference. We have a few examples for you. So this house, it was for sale for 395,000. I believe everybody probably already looked at Funda. If you haven't, it's www.funda.nl. That's where all the houses that are for sale in the Netherlands will be. I would say 98% of the houses. This was the asking price on Funda, 395. That's what they're asking. And here we're gonna show you a little calculation so you understand market value. So the value that you see on Funda, it's not always the market value. And the bank, remember I said, sorry, you need an appraisal to evaluate the house. So the bank needs to know from official entity how much is the market value of the house. So the selling part, they can put the price that they want to put it on Funda. They can choose whatever price they want to. So that's why the bank needs an evaluator to show them in an official report how much is the house, how much is the market value for that specific property. So here we see the asking price on Funda, 395. Let's see. Let's say you send an offer I don't know, we're gonna see afterwards how much was the offer, but 395 were the asking price, and then an appraiser went there and said that the market value, or you know that beforehand, and I hope you do, says that the market value of the house is 415. Remember, the bank will give you the as a mortgage and market value, right? So 415, and your offer was 435. Which means that you bought above market value. So the difference between asking price and purchase price in this case is around 10%. But remember, once you have the market value, you have to forget the asking price, because the asking price is the price chosen by the sellers or the selling agents to put on a Funda and to bring people to see the house. It doesn't mean it will be the market value. So that's very important to remember. And the bank wants to know the market value. The offers are based in the market value. So if you look at that value versus purchase price, you pay above market value 4.8%. The ideal, of course, is that you pay the market value or even less, right? So then you can finance everything. In this case, the difference between the market value and the purchase price, the 20K, you're going to have to pay yourself, because again, the bank will only finance the market value, the value given by an appraisal that he's going to put in the valuation report. So this is what we call overbidding. So you probably heard about that a lot. This is what we call overbidding. When someone is overbidding, they might be overbidding Funda value, but if they don't know what is the market value, that doesn't make much of a difference. If you overbid the market value, it means that you're going to have to pay the difference in cash. So that's for you to have an idea. We have another example here. Same, let's say the same property, 375, and then the market value was even, it was the same market value, but the asking price is less. So in this case, 415. Purchase price is the same, 435. So this is a huge difference if you compare to the purchase price and asking price. But since we have the market value, we're going to forget the asking price. Remember the funda value? We're going to work with this one. So same thing here. Although you pay much more if you compare with the funda price, you ended up paying the same thing because the market value was much higher than there was on funda. So that's something that you need to know when you send an offer. That's what it makes a difference when you send an offer, and that's how you get your offers approved. What a winning offer needs to have for you to be able to win and to get the offer accepted. Offer a good price. So that was exactly what I was showing before. It's about the market value. So it is about to send the correct price, and not always the highest value will be the one that will win, because the seller needs security. So he needs to understand that the person who is buying knows about market value. So if they think they don't understand, if they think they are completely blind regarding that, and they can send any offer, and then they know they're not going to get, I can even come back here a little bit. Let's say you send an offer of 435, but you need 100% mortgage. So what that means? It means that you're never going to get 100% mortgage because the market value is 415. The bank will give you the market value because an appraisal has been in the house and made a valuation report. So that's what they're going to, it doesn't matter if you have €1 million as a budget, the market value is the value that you're going to get as a mortgage. So if you put on your offer, purchase price 435, and I need 100% financing, I need the 100% mortgage, you're never going to get the offer accepted, because the selling people most likely will know that 435, it's not possible for the bank to finance, because they're only going to finance the market value, and market value is 415. So that is offer a good price. So you might offer less, but if the less is in a condition, in a good condition, it will be the market value that we'll be able to finance. That's security for the seller, because he knows for sure things most likely will go well. And if you have an agent, it's even better, because we have checked everything and we know that it should be okay, right? That the process will go further and the house will be sold. Offer security to the seller. That's exactly what I just said. They need security. They need to know that you are able to get your mortgage approved. They need to know that they are able to sell the house, because they don't know when they don't know about your mortgage until you sign the purchase agreement and you start doing the mortgage process, right? So that's why making a good offer is and get to know the market value and everything. It makes a huge difference when you send your offer. Offer less amount of hassle. That's something that I see a lot in offers, or at least with the clients that come to me, that they have this expectation about putting a lot of things in the offer. I want to buy it on this way, and I will do this and that, or I want to make a complete technical inspection in a house that is only like 2 years old. Those kind of things. That's what it's too much hassle for the seller. So you're always going to go for the easy one that it makes that if he's secured, he has security. So everything will be fine, and there's no much of a hassle. That's the offer he's going to go through. So try not to be so picky when sending your offer, and then that makes the life for everyone much easier. And the seller will always go for the one that offers more security and more easy way to go through the selling process. Offer a personal touch. That's very important. A lot of people like to know who buying their houses, what kind of job they have. Do you have a good contract? Are you sure you can have your mortgage approved? So those kind of things that offer security to the seller, because they know that everything will be fine. So try to give a little bit of a personal touch to the offer, so they get to know you a little bit. And because a lot of people are very sentimental when they sell their houses. I remember when I bought my second house, the first house I bought for a corporation, so nobody even cared who we were. But the second house, we had to meet them and recount this whole story, because they were living here for 30-something years. They had 3 growing up children. They want to sell to a family with young children and those kind of things, because they were here for too long. It was not only about the money, it was about to having someone that would take care of the house. And I don't know, this idea that they have to have someone having this kind of life or something like that. So that makes a huge difference when we were able to show them that that's what we would try to be in the future, maybe, or try to, to try to sell that, all of that for them. And at the end, it worked. I did not have the highest offer. I couldn't have the highest offer because it was over my budget anyway. But we ended up getting the house with a lower offer, just because we have a personal touch that gave them the security to do so. Due diligence, what are you going to need and how things are going to work. So you have the technical going to work when you are sending in the process of buying a house, right? So you have the technical inspector and you have the appraiser. The appraiser is the one that is going to make the evaluation report, and that's the one that's going to tell the bank in an official report how much is the worth of the house, how much is the market value for this house. Remember, funda value. That's the way to start, of course. That's what the price you look, but it doesn't mean it is the real market value. In Eindhoven area, in the past years, we see that the funda value is always low compared to that what the appraiser can put in the report. A few months ago, I would say it would be around even 25K lower than we could see in the report afterwards. So we had to work with that to send the offers, and we do our price research, we prepare everything, and we have knowledge of the market, right? So that makes things simple for our clients. With this new market, with the changes and everything, we see that things are changing. That funda is, it is, at least in Eindhoven area, is starting to be a bit more, they're not on the same level yet, but it's getting better. It's not like this anymore. It's getting a little bit less. Some properties are too high and some properties are even below because they need more renovation or something like that. So it really depends on the property, but we see a change already. The technical inspector is the guy that will come to check the state of the building. So think about it, looking at really how the roof is, how the heating system in the building is, if there is some mold anywhere, those kind of things. He's not going to check the oven, the dishwasher, those kind of things. It's literally the building. It's not like little things in the house, but just for you to have an idea what the technical inspector does. And we very much tell people that if the house is older than, let's say, 20 to 30 years, it's very interesting to have, if they didn't have any renovation, of course. You can see that in the documents of the house that you should ask or will receive once they do a viewing. They will say there that if they did the renovations or not. So then you can decide if you did a technical inspector or not. And that's very important. If the house is around 20 to 30 years old and they never did much, or if you in the viewing you saw something that it didn't make you comfortable, when you send an offer, you can ask the technical inspection afterwards. Let's see, I have a question. Do you book them before or after your offer gets accepted? Wait a second. Oh, I think there is a slide missing here. So you book them after your offer gets accepted. That's when you book everyone, the technical inspector and the appraiser to be at the house, do the technical inspection and do the valuation report. Oh, this is the sweet spot. So you have your offer gets accepted. You have around 1.5 weeks max. Some agents would say 2 weeks. So that's what you have to sign the purchase agreement. What is the purchase agreement? The purchase agreement is the contract between you and the seller. And there you have the dates, the maximum period that you can have to have your mortgage accepted, all the dates of the transfer, which notary will be. That's always going to be all the articles that are all the information that was in the documents of the house as well, the information about the inspection. There is a clause that if the house is too old, they're going to put a clause regarding the house being too old, that you understand the conditions of the building are different than buying a new build, for example. All those clauses will be in the purchase agreement. So you have the offer accepted and then you have the purchase agreement. In this between this time until you sign the purchase agreement, that's when the technical inspector comes, and that's when the evaluator comes as well, the appraisal, that's to make the evaluation report. And then after you have the numbers from the evaluator, that you can breathe, that you send a good offer, you're going to be able to get the mortgage, the 100% that you need. or if you're lucky enough, it's even higher a value than the one you send, which means that you bought below market value, which is great. Then you can actually sign your purchase agreement, and then you receive the technical inspection, and then you see that everything is okay. You can sign the purchase agreement. If something is not okay, then you can pull out of the deal without paying any penalty. You will have to pay those two people, of course, but then at least you don't have to pay any. You won't pay any penalty which in the coming months because you were not able to get your mortgage approved, or because the house, or you're not gonna have any trouble if the house was completely destroyed or something like that. After you sign the purchase agreement, you do have 3 days to get out of the deal without paying the penalty. We call that the cool-off period. It means that you have literally 3 working days to think about it, to the less thinking, and maybe you decided that it's too risky, or you not in love with the house as you thought, and that's when you can get out of the deal without paying any penalty. After those 3 working days, so if you sign the contract on a Friday, you have Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to think about it, because it's 3 working days to get out of the deal without paying any penalty. Here is a timeline for you to understand how the buying process works. So you are there in search, you are on Funda or in the real estate agent's website, so you can see everything, and then you make your appointments, you go to the viewing, you prepare everything, you look at the documents of the house, you see if everything is okay, and you prepare your offer, you submit it to offer. Once your offer gets approved, you call the appraiser and the technical inspector, make sure they're in the house before the 1.5 weeks we talked about it. And then here you have the signing of the purchase agreement. So you go to the purchase agreement, you look at everything, see if everything's correct. After the signing, you start the mortgage process. You do have the 3 days, and maybe you want to just get out of the deal, that's the time. So remember, after that, you're going to have to pay the penalty. Remember those 10% bank guarantee? That's what is about. If you get out of after those 3 days, if you got afraid of some reason, or if you have to move to another country or whatever, that's not mortgage related, you have to pay the 10% penalty to the seller. So that's why it's very important for you to have everything done with your mortgage advisor, that you know the whole process, that you are secure, that you're never going to have to pay that amount. You have around 4 weeks to get your mortgage approved. Depends on the mortgage advisor. That's something you have to talk to them and ask how many weeks they need. So you can put that in the offer as well. But normally it takes about 4 weeks, sometimes even less. Once your mortgage application is approved, everything will be sent to the notary, and the notary will start to work on all the documents, transfer deed and mortgage deed, for you to sign on the day of the transfers. And between this time, they're going to make a stage of completion. That's a final note. That's an invoice, basically, with remember those 3 to 5% that I tell you? This is the time that you're going to pay. Only the things you pay before is the appraiser and the technical inspection, because they have been in the house, they have done their job. But this is the time that you pay that amount, the 3 to 5%. You transfer the money to the notary will send you the invoice. You transfer the money to the notary, and the notary will pay everybody that they have to pay. The day of the transfer has come. Let's say 1st of February, you have to go to the notary at 11 o'clock in the morning to get your keys. That's the day you're going to be official the owner of the house. That's the day you get the keys. You're going to sign the transfer deed and the mortgage deed. But before you do that, you will make an appointment, or the selling part actually will make an appointment with you and your agent, if you have one, to go to the house and do a last inspection, which means that you're going to check with the sellers and the agents if the house is in the same state as it was when you were here at the beginning sending the offer, when the offer got accepted. So the sellers are not allowed to change anything in the house after they sign the purchase agreement, but they have to fix if something broke in the meantime, or I don't know, something that was broken, they have to fix it before they deliver the house. That's the time when you check those things. Or maybe you bought their couch, or you bought their table, or something like that. That's the time you check if everything is in the good condition as it was. This is also the time that you take the photos from the meters, water, gas, electricity, for example, if there is one, or the time that they explain how the solar panels work, those kind of things. And then you go to the, after everything's settled, you both sign, and then the inspection report is sent to the notary, to the sellers, to the buyers, to the agents. And then you go to the notary, then you're ready to sign the transfer deed and the mortgage deed, and the translator will be there waiting for you. Good tip, always, if you're good enough in English, choose the English one if you're comfortable with that. It's much cheaper than any other language. I've been there. I chose my first one, Portuguese, because I was a bit afraid of not having 300% explanation on what I need. And at the end, it was a double price off from the English one. So the second house was an English one, and it was fine. So yeah, but just a little tip. So after that, we tell people that they have about 1 month and a half, 2 months to, that's we call the liability period. This is a very gray zone. I want to make that very clear right now, because there are no actual law regarding this. It's more like a gentleman kind of a deal that you get to the house, and if something, let's say after 2 days, the whole, I don't know, the heating system is not working anymore. So most likely you did not broke anything in 2 days, right? So that's something that the seller has to take responsibility for. So that's the time. That's why we call 2 months, around 1.5, 2 months to live in the house, to actually live in the house, try everything out, you know, to see if everything is working perfectly. And then if it's not, you can call the seller to talk about it and discuss and see what the possibilities are, if they're going to fix it, or if you pay, or if you fix it, they pay, those kind of things. Be aware that there are sellers and sellers. Okay, so that's why we call gray zone, because it's a very difficult part of the buying process if something goes really bad, just for you to understand. This is our package in our companies where you can help you with. We have the smart package, complete package, and also a new build package. If you are interested in that, Q&A, we have the questions. Ludo, that's time for you.
Yes, my time to shine. Well, actually, we've had a couple of questions already, and they have been answered now. So currently, no outstanding questions. So if there are any questions that you guys haven't asked yet, feel free to pop them in the Q&A or in the chat, and we'll answer them live. And otherwise, if there is no question right now, but once you log off, you think, oh shoot, I should have asked that, then you can always contact either one of us. You'll receive all the recordings and the slides tomorrow with our contact details. So you can always reach out then as well.
I do want to say this while people are still writing, maybe they write something. If you don't know any mortgage advisors, we have a lot of partners in our company, and of course the mortgage advisor that we ourselves use to buy our own properties. So if you need some names, some telephone numbers, feel free, as you're going to receive this presentation, at the end you're going to see my email address. Feel free to send me an email. I can send you a little list of some names, so you can call them and make an appointment. Always the first appointment with mortgage advisor are free, so you are then you know, and that will be I believe one of the biggest advice we can give before we start anything. Even before you go into a viewing, please talk to your advisor or talk to your bank to make sure about your budget, because things are changing every day because of the interest rates going up and down. So it makes a huge difference in your budget if something happens next week. And if you send the wrong offer, that might cost you that deposit, the 10% of purchase price. I said it before. So if you need some advice, let us know.
We are getting a few questions, so that's nice. I see a remark from Simona saying that her question wasn't answered. I typed it to you, but I don't mind recalling it. So I think your question was, how do we know the market value? Well, I'll go ahead and explain what I sent. So we use the comparable method, the method that an appraiser uses as well. What the comparable method is, it's comparing the property that we want to buy with properties that are comparable in regards to size, location, amount of bedrooms, amount of outside space, if there's ground lease, etc., a whole bunch of things. Then we look at the price per square meters of the purchase price of those properties and multiply it with the square meters that we want to buy. Obviously, there are still some differences and variables that come into play. We, as a buying agent, will definitely help you with this, because it's not always very accessible for a consumer to find these sources, but it is possible. So I hope that that answers your question, Simona. Then we have another question, a question from Pavagi, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. What do you suggest to buy a house from 1950s or 1960s?
Oh, I love the old ones. Mine is from 1906. So I'm in love with old houses. I do renovate them completely because I also love a renovation. So it's really hard. If it's a house from 1950, and for example, if you're not a big fan of renovation, and they did a lot, why not, right? So that's why you have to check the documents of the house. Make sure you check them, because on the documents you can see all the information about the roof, how old is the roof, how much do they have an insulation, those kind of information. That's how I think you're going to decide. The big difference between like the 50s and the 60s, there are no big difference. More about the insulation of the property, really. But it might be that a property from the 50 is much better insulated than one from the 60 because they renovated everything, I don't know, 20 years ago. So you can't really, it's really hard to decide, but I'm a big fan of old and terrible houses. If I have the money, of course, to make them look pretty enough, I would not live on the very old one. So yeah, I guess that's very personal. But check the documents. That will, I think you can see how old the roofs are, if they have leakage, what kind of renovation they add, the insulation, if the facades are insulated, if they have double glazed, what kind of it. That makes a huge difference for you to decide on which property.
Okay. Thank you very much for answering that. Another question. So if the house is renovated, will the price of the house go up in the future?
Yes, depends on the renovation though. A lot of people believe that painting a wall or putting a new floor is a renovation. So although the house will look nice, renovation for the price of the house to go up, it has to be a big renovation, which means like insulate the walls, solar panels, a better roof, floor heating, a new bathroom, a new kitchen. That's renovation. That's what it counts to make the price goes up, right? A very nice garden doesn't have to be big, but well maintained and pretty, those kind of things. That makes a difference for the price to go up. But just like painting the walls and put some floor just because the other one didn't look nice, that's not really count as a renovation as for the price to go up.
Exactly. So it's either a structural renovation or a cosmetic renovation. Structural will add value. Cosmetic, not so much, as it's up to taste.
Yeah, these days what adds a lot of value besides like a very nice kitchen, floor heating, and those kind of things, is making the house as gas-free as possible. Solar panels always adds a lot of value to the house. A completely new heating system, for example, and insulate the walls if they're not yet insulated. So that makes a difference, a lot of difference for the value.
Diovana, do you think the prices will drop anytime soon? How do you see the prices develop in 2023?
Isn't that the best, the question of the time that we all wonder. I wish I could tell you a lot about that. I can't, unfortunately. I don't think the prices will, in my singular opinion, I don't think the price will go down like insanely crazy, for example. I think they will stabilize because they were insanely high and they were going up way too much. But you do have to remember, there is a huge shortness of houses in this country, whether they're going to sell it or they're going to rent those properties. One of those two things will happen anyway, because there are too much people, not that many houses. So I don't expect a drastic lower in the prices. I don't. What I expected is more like in the stabilization, and what we see already is that the sellers really want security because they want to sell the house for someone that gets their mortgage approved. It's not about the highest price anymore, and that's what we see. But if you are buying a house just to be here for the next 2 years, I would say be careful. But if you're buying a house to be here for the next 3 to 5, 10 years, I would say just buy it. Don't pay rent, because even if they go down a little bit, they always going to go up. They're always going to go up again, and you're going to sell it and make a profit. So that's as much as I can say, I guess.
Do you still think it's needed to overbid? And if so, how much percentage?
With the overbid, I can't tell you how much the percentage will be because every house is different, every neighborhood is different. It really depends on the quality of the house. But I can tell you this: houses with energy label A and B, especially A, are the ones that people are still overbidding, and because there is a huge look. I live in a house that is 1906. And we renovated it completely. We put solar panels, I insulate some walls, and it's much better than it was. And still, I'm paying 600 a month now. So if you buy a property that is energy, and I am probably a C. So if you buy a property that is energy label A, you are paying what? Maybe 200. So it is very appealing for the bank to give you a better interest rate. You pay much less. A lot of houses have no gas whatsoever. You can completely, if you have solar panels, you can completely use your own electricity without paying that much anymore. So that's when the overbid comes. And especially because expats are not really queue and having and do renovations. So, and when I mean renovations, it's not even painting a wall. So if a house has a energy label A and not much to do, it might be that you're going to have to overbid a little bit because you're going to have a lot of competitions. In the other houses, I can't say the same anymore. Then it might be that you are even able to buy it for the less than the asking price, maybe. That's where the price research comes, because we don't know if the asking price is too high or is too low. But the overbidding, what we see, it happens still, but with the houses that are energy label A or B.
Perfect, thank you. Then we have one final question, question from JP Jacob. Can we not get an appraiser to evaluate the property before we make an offer?
You could, but they cost 800 euros every time you bring someone. I don't think you want to do that. I think it's quite expensive. How many are you going to bring? So you don't know if you're going to get your offer accepted at the first house, right? So that's the problem. You can always call and the appraiser will charge you. They're not going to tell you for free on the phone how much is the market value. So he's going to have to go to the house. He takes pictures. He's there for about 45 minutes an hour to take pictures of the whole houses. He will look at the documents. He will look at energy label. It's not just going there, look at the house and tell your price. It's a whole process. And the report, the official one, official, has the bank uses one that is about 35 pages, I believe, but the official one has like 80 pages. So that guy will charge you 800 every time. So I think an agent is cheaper though.
Yeah, definitely. And 9 out of 10 times the selling agent will not allow you to come in with later.
Indeed. They're not going to give you the documents or give all the information if you don't have an offer accepted yet.
Yeah, exactly. We got in one final question from Kay. What are good
May I say something just before you ask that question? I will launch the poll to know about your experience in the webinar. Then people can just fill it in for us if it's possible. I would appreciate it while I just answer that question. Thank you. Go for it.
Yeah, so a question from Kay. What are good criteria in choosing a mortgage advisor? Example, are there any red flags, for instance, what to do when the seller wants me to choose their mortgage advisor? And what is a good mortgage to choose?
The seller cannot tell you who to choose. You are free to do that. You are the one who has to do that, actually. You have to find your own mortgage advisor. You have to do everything. So if the seller tells you you have to use my mortgage advisor, for example, the one I say, that's already a big red flag because legally he's not allowed to. And I don't believe I ever heard anyone doing that. So yeah, feel free to choose your own mortgage advisor. What I would say is choose the one that doesn't make you feel like a number, because that's what and the one that you can actually communicate quite easily. Because if you send an offer today and it gets accepted tomorrow, and you have 1.5 weeks to get all the papers and everything, you need that person to be available to you, right? You need a phone number, you need an email address, and if he goes on a holiday, you need to make sure that he left someone that knows your process. Because what I see sometimes when the clients come like with someone that we don't know, for example, I have seen that before, that they just disappear when we need them. And you have a time, you have like 4 weeks max to get your mortgage approved. So you need a person that's going to work for you. And that's the huge difference, I believe, with the mortgage advisors. So yeah, choose the one that doesn't make you feel like a number, and that will give you attention when you need it, that you give, that will be available for you when you need it for your mortgage process.
Exactly. Okay, cool. Well, that's it for today, actually. So
Thank you
thanks
so
very
much.
much.
Yes.
Thank you very
Sorry.
much, Diovana, for organizing today.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for being here as well, Ludo, and help me out. Thank you, everyone, for being here. I wish you a very nice evening. Get warm because it's quite cold outside. And yeah, that was it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. See you guys later. Have a good evening.